Hello everyone, this is David and welcome back to FPGA Discovery. In this project, we're going to build something that was common in arcade machines and home computers during the 1980s, computerized speech. But instead of simply playing an audio file, we're going to build a reusable speech synthesis core entirely in Verilog that can be dropped into future FPGA projects with just a few lines of code. Along the way, we'll also take a detailed look at the Digilent Pmod AMP2 and learn how an FPGA can generate high-quality audio using nothing more than pulse-width modulation. Before we dive into the hardware in the Verilog, let's look at the overall signal path. Our game logic simply tells the voice core which phrase to speak. The voice core breaks that phrase into individual words, looks up the PCM audio samples stored in memory, converts those samples into a high-speed PWM waveform, sends that waveform to the Pmod AMP2 amplifier, and finally drives the speaker. One of the goals of this project was to make every stage reusable, so that this isn't just a speech project, it's a reusable FPGA audio subsystem. The FPGA itself can generate digital signals very accurately, but it cannot supply enough current to drive a speaker directly. That's the job of the amplifier. The AMP2 accepts a PWM signal from the FPGA, amplifies it, and provides enough power to drive a small speaker while also giving us gain and shutdown control. This block diagram comes directly from the Digilent reference manual for the Pmod AMP2. Internally, the amplifier takes the PWM input, reconstructs the audio waveform, amplifies it, and sends it to the speaker output. Notice that the FPGA isn't generating analog voltages directly. Instead, it generates a digital PWM waveform that represents the audio signal. So how can a digital signal become sound? Instead of changing voltage levels, we change the duty cycle of a high-frequency pulse train. A narrow pulse represents a small audio value. A wider pulse represents a larger audio value. After amplification and filtering, the speaker responds to the average energy of that waveform, producing the original audio. The AMP2 also provides two useful control signals. The gain input lets us select the amplifier gain. The shutdown input enables or disables the amplifier entirely. In our design, we keep the amplifier enabled during speech playback, but these control signals allow future projects to mute the amplifier or reduce power consumption whenever audio isn't needed. Interfacing the AMP2 with the Base 3 is actually pretty straightforward. In this project, the Pmod AMP2 connects to the JB connector on the Basys 3. One FPGA output carries the PWM audio signal, while another controls the amplifier shutdown input. With only two FPGA output pins, we can completely control the audio amplifier. You might wonder why we can't simply connect the speaker directly to the FPGA. The answer is current. An FPGA I/O pin is designed for digital logic, not for driving a low-impedance speaker, although I have done this before. The amplifier supplies the power that the FPGA cannot, allowing even a tiny PWM signal to become clear, audible sound. Now let's look at the architecture of the speech engine itself. At the top is the retro voice core module. It receives a phrase identifier from the game logic and coordinates the rest of the system. The phrase ROM provides the sequence of words to speak. The word sample player streams PCM samples from memory. Finally, the PWM DAC converts those digital samples into the PWM waveform sent to the amplifier. Every module has a single responsibility, making the entire system easy to understand and reuse. The phrase ROM acts like a script for the speech engine. Instead of storing raw audio here, we simply store a sequence of word identifiers. For example, The phrase radar active is stored as the word ID for radar, followed by the word ID for active, and finally a special end of phrase marker. Changing what the FPGA says is often as simple as changing the sequence of word IDs. Each word exists only once in memory. The word sample table tells the player exactly where that word begins inside the PCM memory and how many samples belong to it. This approach avoids storing duplicate audio and makes expanding the vocabulary much easier. When the player receives a word ID, it simply looks up the starting address and sample length before beginning playback. This is the controller for the entire speech engine. Internally, it uses a finite state machine to coordinate playback. It waits for a start request, loads the next word from the phrase ROM, starts the word player, waits for playback to complete, inserts a short gap between words, and repeats until it reaches the end of the phrase. Because every action is synchronized to the FPGA clock, the behavior is completely deterministic. The word player performs one job. Given a starting address and a sample length, it streams PCM samples from block RAM at exactly 12.5 kilohertz. Every 80 microseconds, a new sample is produced until the request word has been completely played. The PWM DAC converts those PCM samples into a high-speed PWM waveform. Our PWM carrier runs at approximately 390 kilohertz, while new PCM samples arrive every 80 microseconds. As each sample changes, the PWM duty cycle changes with it, creating a digital representation of the original audio waveform that can be amplified by the Pmod AMP2. Putting everything together, the entire audio path is surprisingly simple. A game requests a phrase, the voice core reads the phrase script, the word player streams PCM samples from memory, the PWM DAC converts those samples into a PWM waveform, the Pmod AMP2 amplifies that waveform. Finally, the speaker produces the retro computer voice. Although the speech has a classic electronic sound, the architecture behind it is modular, reusable, and designed to be dropped into future FPGA games with very little effort. Alright, let's take a quick look at the project in Vivado. You can see the module hierarchy over here. Notice we have a Verilog header file, and we also have a .mem memory file. We have a top and 6 modules beneath it. Let's take a look at the XDC file. We have the 100 megahertz clock, switch 0 through 2 for selecting between 8 different phrases. Switch 15 is used as a reset. These LEDs just follow whatever switch you have selected, and LED 15 is the signal that shows that the player is busy. And button C is how you play the phrase, and here's the hookup for the Pmod AMP2. Take a look at the top here real quick. So all of these modules are thoroughly commented, but these all match up with the XDC file. Right here we're using a 2-stage synchronizer for the button and the switch instead of doing a debouncer. Just ties in the modules. Here's the header file. Just defines a bunch of information that the other modules use. Here's the voice core. It's a state machine. Instantiates the sample player. Here's the phrase ROM. These are the phrases that we will hear during the demonstration. And the reason why they say radar active and such is because I had this idea when I was working on a video game, trying to recreate the old NES game Radar Scope. You can look it up. It's a 2D game, but it has a weird looking like 3D display. It looks really cool. Here we have the sample player. Let's see. The word sample table. Word sample ROM. This uses a Xilinx parameterized macro for the ROM. And the PWM DAC. Alright, I got the Basys 3 sitting here. Pmod AMP2 on JB. Connected to an 8 ohm speaker. This is actually called a pillow speaker. It's like $8 on Amazon, but it works pretty good with the AMP2. Now I will demonstrate all of the sounds.
Radar active. Player 1 ready. Warning, warning, warning. Enemy approaching. Fire. Sector clear. Game over. High score.
So here's that game, Radar Scope, I was talking about. It's 2D, but it has like the little 3D screen. I was trying to recreate this on the FPGA, and then that's where all the voice phrases essentially came from.